The pen part of calligraphy was rocking and rolling. I had kits and books and videos and public television and doing a lot of commission work and running a business, and everything was all calligraphy. I had done everything I knew to do, and everything was great. And I got a phone call from Hunt one day, and they said, there's going to be a big art show in Pasadena, California. It's going to be called Tools of the Trade. It'll be in the Pasadena Convention Center, and we want you to go and teach 3 consecutive days. There'd be a morning class and an afternoon class. Each session would be 2 hours. They said, we will provide the markers. They were called Elegant Writer. I did the calligraphy on the pen barrel. Zillions of those are out there. So they said, you figure out the templates or whatever you want them to use to teach them basic calligraphy to get these artists involved. So I went to Pasadena, had the classes all set up. I'm not sure if it was the first or second class. It seemed like it was the second one. I went through the 2 hours teaching them the strokes, all, going through. I had 40 people in the room. Each session was full, 40 people. So I would go around the classroom teaching them how to hold the pen, the hand position, the correct angle of the pen to the baseline and all that. And finished with the class. Everybody got up and left and took their sheets with them, took the marker, and I was cleaning up the debris, making room for the next wave of people to come in. And this guy came up to me, he held back, and when everyone was gone, he came up to me and said, "Hi, Ken Brown. I have everything you have. I know who you are. I have your books, I have your videos, I've got your markers, I've got everything." And looked me right in the eye and he said, "You have got to get a dental drill." And I thought, okay, who is this kook and why is he getting in my way? I said, why would I want a dental drill? I'm a calligrapher and I use pen and ink and markers. He said, trust me, you've got to get a dental drill and translate what you do with all those fancy strokes, simple strokes really, and learn how to make them hook up and do beautiful letters with a spinning dental drill. Well, that even complicated matters more. I thought he was crazy. And he just persisted. And so finally I said, I'm sorry, I've got to get this classroom cleaned up. And he was very polite. He said, you're going to hear from me again. I'm going to be in Allen, Texas in 2 weeks. And I'm teaching a class on how you do artwork with the dental drill. And I said, oh, well, great. And I kept on cleaning up the mess. And he said, I'm going to call you. You listen for my call. I said, okay, well, thank you. Nice to meet you. And I forgot all about him. Did the rest of the class, the rest of the 2 days, came back home, got back into my groove. And sure enough, in about 10 days, he called and said, hey, Ken, this is Lou. Remember meeting me at the convention center? And I said, yeah. He said, I'm going to be in Allen, Texas. I'm going to be teaching a class of would-be artists, wannabe artists, using the dental drill. No pencil, no ink, no pen, dental drill. And I said, wait a minute. You're telling me that you're teaching an art class and you're using a rotating 300,000 RPM rotating dental drill? He said, yeah, that's right. And I want you to come and see what we're doing. You'll understand. So he told me where to go and what time to be there. And so I showed up. He had 10 people in the room. Now this dentist, his name was Lou Jensen, lived in Orem, Utah. And he was a very successful dentist. And through the years, he had learned to take that drill and take a piece of glass, take an ostrich egg, take a piece of metal, and he didn't know anything about lettering, but he was a pretty good artist. So he would draw a picture with a drill on a piece of stainless steel or whatever. But what really got his name out there and made him realize he had something, he began carving on ostrich eggs. You've seen the eggs with all the lacy design. He would take an ostrich egg that had been dried and empty, and he would draw the filigree, lacy designs, symmetrical, all over it. And then he would take the dental drill and he would carve out the areas that would become open. And he did that for a good while. And people began buying them, raving over his eggs. And then he began putting them in consignment stores in Park City, Utah, and selling them like crazy. Well, the time came, like it did for me, the tail was wagging the dog, and he sold his dental practice and began selling engraving systems, dental drill, compressor, foot control, regulator, hoses. So he had a class in Allen, Texas. He had been to a show, a home business opportunity show or something in Texas, and sold a bunch of the systems. And so he said, I'm having a class to show you how to use it. It'll be in Allen, Texas. So I went to this little thing one evening, when he called, and he introduced me to the class, and he sat me down and handed me the drill. And he also handed me a little square mirror. And he said, here, Ken, just write your name. So I took the drill and this little mirror, and I just wrote my name as though it were a ballpoint on a piece of paper. And it was kind of cool. It etched the glass, and there's my signature, but it wasn't calligraphy. It still didn't get in my head. And I said, okay, what's the deal? I can sign my name, but it's not calligraphy. He said, you got to figure it out. You got to figure out how to make your calligraphy on any surface you want with a dental drill. I still wasn't convinced, but it was kind of interesting. So I politely stayed and watched the other students as they were tracing. He would copy simple line drawings on a piece of mylar with a sticky back. He'd peel the back, he'd print them on the printer, and then he'd have a little design of a rose or a fish or a whatever, dog face or a cat, and he would print it on the mylar sheets in little chunks like this. And then he would have them peel off the back, stick that mylar on a piece of wood, a piece of metal, a piece of glass, and then trace the line drawing that he copied from the copier from his little piece of artwork. They would put that on the object, and with the drill, merely trace the lines. When they trace the lines, peel it off. There, with the dental drill, etched in whatever surface they wanted, was a cool little piece of art. Well, that was for people who didn't have the skill. People that could draw anyway would just take the object and start drawing with that dental drill as it was cutting into the surface. So then it began to register on me what was going on. He said, here's why I'm asking you to do this. We can make incredible art on any kind of a surface. And he said, we'll do the artwork, and then when it comes time to put a name or a date, we hit the wall. He said, I've messed up I don't know how many wonderful pieces of art because my lettering looked like heck. It was just awful. So you need to figure out how to make letters, calligraphy, with the dental drill, and it'll change your life. I don't know how many times he said, it will change your life. Well, I left after spending half an hour at his class and forgot about it again. It just still didn't register. I didn't have a drill. And for the next 3 months, almost 3 months, I'd get a phone call from this guy in Utah every few days. Ken, have you thought about the drill? It was $3,000. It was $3,000 for the whole package. He said, you got to get that drill. You got to learn how to do calligraphy with a dental drill. He just kept on drilling that in my head. I never gave in. The conversation was almost verbatim every time. So I'm at home on the 22nd, 23rd of December of 1992, having seen him in October in California. And the doorbell rang. So I went to the door, opened it. Here's the UPS guy. Sign here, Mr. Brown. So I signed for a big box, took it into the living room, opened it up, and you know what was in the box. The engraving system, the compressor, the regulator, the foot control, the hoses, and the drill. So I thought, you know, this guy must know something I don't know. So I hooked it up. There were no instructions. There was no Merry Christmas. It was just, here's the drill. Let's hope he figures it out. I figured it out. Within about an hour and a half, I had scratched on several wine bottles in the bar in the rack. I got my metal tackle box and I was scratching on it. I scratched on a couple of wine glasses. And it still didn't make sense because I didn't know the script. Now, what I do with a pen or a flat brush is a letter that has width to it. And then as you turn the corner, that stroke becomes thin. And then because it's held at a 45-degree angle. So when you make a stroke this way with a pen, this is the pen, it's a straight line. When you go this way with the pen, it makes the line this wide. So that 45-degree angle with the pen creates the thicks and thins with the calligraphy pen. Well, the drill doesn't have that. The drill is a little ball spinning at 300,000 RPM. Different animal altogether. But after scratching around on stuff and trying to visualize what I could do with it, I found a piece of mylar, a little piece of mylar that I saw him use in the class, just blank mylar. So I went and got a pen, an ink pen, and I lettered K-E-N, just lettered my name on a little piece of mylar about so big. Lettering was probably like that. I peeled the back off. I went to the cabinet and got a bigger wine glass, and I put that mylar on the wine glass. And then I took that little round drill, and the only thing I could do was dot. I dotted the outline of the calligraphy right down to the very thin line, dotted it all the way around, K-E-N, pulled the mylar off, and then I had a skeleton of the letters, open letters. So then I took that same drill, mylar pattern thrown away, and I went in and spent 30 minutes at that time filling it in. So by the time I filled in all around the outline in the middle of those letters, all of a sudden I looked at it and I had my calligraphy in glass with a dental drill. So I realized right then that was a whole different dimension of what I'd been doing with calligraphy. It was slow and I didn't see how it could be productive. So I kept playing with it, and I would write single stroke script, but it didn't look good. I mean, it was basically my handwriting, which was nothing special at all. So I still didn't really get it, but I kept playing with it, and 11 months later, I had developed the script that I now use by going back and referring to some other things that I had done with a pen that had a different style than the broad. I did it with a pointed pen. Only did that a couple of times. And so I then took the drill and began forming letters like I did with the pointed pen, now with a little drill, not pointed, but it was a single surface. So then I began forming the letters that look like they do today, although they weren't quite as polished as what I do now. But in 11 months, I had it figured out enough to understand what the dentist said. It will change your life if you learn how to use this dental drill. So I got good enough 11 months later that I went to a major mall in Dallas. I took a fragrance bottle that I had engraved some few words on, and I took it into a fragrance counter and walked up to the young lady and said, here's what I can do with calligraphy on a fragrance bottle. And she said, that's very pretty, but I can't help you. You need to talk to the manager. I said, please call the manager. So the manager came in a few minutes, and she said, that's very pretty, but we can't help you. You need to talk to the buyer. I said, what buyer? The buyer, the fragrance buyer for Dillard's. She's in Fort Worth. I said, thank you very much. Do you have a name? So they gave me the buyer's name. I went out to the car. This is 1992. Hardwired phone in the car, coil cord. I picked up my phone and I dialed the buyer of fragrance for Dillard's in this whole region in Fort Worth. I said, hi, I'm Ken Brown, and I'm a calligrapher, and I can make beautiful lettering on fragrance bottles. She said, who gave you my name? I said, well, one of the sales ladies at one of your counters at North Park. And she said, well, tell me again, what do you do? I said, I'm a calligrapher. I've been a calligrapher for 20 plus years, over 30 actually. And I can put beautiful lettering on fragrance bottles. She said, really? Well, tell me more. And I said, well, I figured out how to take my lettering that I've been doing for years and years and years and translate it into a little bit of a different shape. And I can write beautiful letters right into the glass. She said, well, I can't help you. I said, okay, any ideas? And she said, yes, you need to talk to the account executives of the fragrance companies. So I think, okay, I'm getting handed off endlessly here, but I'm not going to give up. So she gave me the name of 2 or 3 different account executives. So the first one at the top of the list was a woman in Dallas, who was the account executive for Calvin Klein. Pretty good start. So I got on the phone and I called her and I said, hi, I'm Ken Brown. I'm a calligrapher and I wanted to talk to you about what I can do on fragrance bottles. She said, where'd you get my name? I said, Allison, the buyer. Oh, I know Allison. Yeah, I saw her last week. She ordered a bunch of product for the Christmas season. How can I help you? And I said, okay, here's what I do. I'm a calligrapher. Long time, a lot of history. I have figured out with a tool how to put beautiful lettering on fragrance bottles. She said, really? I've never heard of that. I said, I can do it. She said, well, what do you charge? I thought, oh, I didn't think of that. I said, oh, well, it's $75 an hour for a 4-hour minimum. And she didn't hesitate. She said, okay, great. Here's my address. Send me a little invoice, something that says you are engraving on my bottles, and I'll send you a check. She said, I want you to be at the Dillard's Mall in Arlington, at the Parks Mall in Arlington, on Friday. That's the Friday after Thanksgiving. Can you make it? And I said, sure. Well, it was Black Friday. I didn't know Black Friday from zip, but I showed up, and they had a table for me. I got all set up, and now what? No customers, no bottles. So I asked the clerk, the salesperson there, I said, would you mind bringing me a couple of testers off the counter? So she brought me some Calvin Klein testers. And I put Merry Christmas on one, I Love You on another one, and Merry Christmas or Happy New Year on another one. And they were stunned. They had never seen anything like it, and it was beautiful. And I rubbed a little gold into it or a little silver, depending on the color of the bottle. So right away, there were customers all in the department. It's Black Friday. So somebody said, well, can you do my bottle that way? And I said, sure. So she brought the bottle over, scrawled her name, the message on a piece of paper, scrap paper, and I engraved it, and she left thrilled to death. Free. Didn't cost her anything other than the price of the bottle. So then another lady came and another man, and now all of a sudden I'm swamped. I have no order forms. I have nothing but my dental drill and me. I didn't have paper, nothing. So people were scratching their notes on paper and handing me bottles. It was a mess. Nobody knew, nor I, what to expect. So that 4 hours zipped by pretty quick. But in the midst of all of that, I had 8 or 9 other account executives in the department hyping their brand on Black Friday come over and give me a card. Do you have a card? I gave them my card. I had one. Are you available to do other stores? And I said, yes. Well, during that 4 hours and a little time after, still dealing with these other account executives, I booked most of December in various malls in Dallas. And that's how I began my engraving business with a dental drill. It all came through that one showing of the bottle at Dillard's North Park. And over the next 15 years, I did, at one point, toward the end, before the wine people discovered what I do, I did a rough calculation, and conservatively, in 15 years, and hundreds upon hundreds of events, I did somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 to 90,000 fragrance bottles and compacts, the gold compacts with the mirror, and makeup brushes, lipstick tubes, makeup brushes. Anywhere there was metal, I could engrave Merry Christmas, I love you, a name, whatever. About 4 years later, I get a call from New York. Answered the phone. Hi, this is so-and-so, it was a woman. This is Jane Doe calling from Estee Lauder corporate office in New York. And I have a question. I said, yes, ma'am, how can I help you? I knew why she was calling, because she knew that I'd been engraving fragrance bottles all over Dallas and North Texas. So she said, where are the other Ken Browns? And I said, well, have you checked the phone book? I was kidding with her. I knew what she wanted. She said, where are the other people that do what you do? And I said, there's not anybody that does what I do. I'm the only one, I'm the first person on the planet to combine professional grade lettering, calligraphy, with a dental drill. Now, imagine that. So I said, I have no one that I can refer you to. I said, why are you asking? She said, we need more like you. We need more people that can do what you do. Have you ever taught? And I said, nope. I've taught a lot of calligraphy, been on public television, but I've never, at that point, I said, I'm on public television. I was still running at that point. But I said, I don't know anybody, but I'm sure I could teach it, because I've taught calligraphy with a pen. She said, if you ever do that, please let us know, because we need other people to do what you're doing. Every time, and she had been watching the numbers, every time you go into a store, and it had evolved to the point after that Calvin Klein where I would do everything in the store. It evolved to that, where I would do everything in the store rather than just one person, one line. So it got to the point then where Estee Lauder was hiring me to go to, I went to 4 major cities in Canada. I went to, pardon me, I went to Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, and Vancouver multiple times just for Estee Lauder. They had a chain store up there called Holt Renfrew. They had a major store in all 4 of those cities. I went up there 4 or 5 times in each store doing just Estee Lauder. So that then is what prompted the call. They said, we have to have more of you. So I took a year and put together my workshop that I still teach. And Memorial Day weekend of 2001, I was ready to teach, and I put out what little promotion. I don't even remember how I did it. There was no internet, there was no Facebook, no social media, but through craft connections and word of mouth, I got 5 people to come to Dallas. 2 from California, 1 from Austin, 1 from Memphis, and 1 from Atlanta. They came into the classroom. I was ready for them. I had the compressors, I had everything they needed, and I taught the class. And that was the first class. So from that first outing with 5 people, I've refined the class, and it's become 50 times more efficient than that first one. But people come in, and they, without having any calligraphy experience or without any sign of beautiful handwriting, and they learn my technique. They learn the method that I've told you about, that I started when the book came, when the book opportunity came. And so every year since 2001, I've taught only 40 or 50 people. And they're out there doing what I'm doing, earning a great living, being able to personalize not just fragrance bottles, but anything. I do knives, I do guns, I do crystal, I do more wine bottles, wine and spirits bottles than anything else. But it's a constant stream of people bringing me work to do. So it all came together from that first introduction to the dental drill in Pasadena, California. And here we are now, 27 years later, and it's grown into a major activity for a lot of people. I've taught about 500, little over 550 people in this year will be my 19th anniversary of teaching. So the bottom line is that anybody can learn. If they don't have any neurological problems, if they don't have shaky hands, if they have good steady nerves and grit to want to practice and learn it, they can do it. It is not magic. It's a formula like anything else. If I wanted to learn to play the guitar, I have no idea which end you'd hold. But I could be told, I could be shown how to put my fingers here and how to make the chords, and I could be a guitar player in time. Well, it's the same thing. It has nothing to do with handwriting, nothing to do with artistic ability. People can learn this, and I've proven that by 27 years of doing it with the drill and teaching it.